Ladies and gentlemen, my name is TotalBiscuit. I'm here to ask and answer one simple question. WTF is Luftrausers? Well, it's not a real word. They made it up. Luft, of course, is. It's German for red. Rauser? Not at all. That's not a real word. Google Translate told me so. That means that I can call this game whatever I please. That is a right that I've reserved and will exercise. And as a result, I deem this game Luftrausers. Luftrausers. This is a game by Vlambeer, the creators of Super Crate Box, as well as Nuclear Throne and various other pretty damn good games that keep getting stolen by people because they're horrible. Not Vlambeer, the people that steal, of course. I don't know, perhaps Vlambeer did something in a previous life to deserve it, but that I cannot confirm or deny. Let's have a look at the options menu. Not much going on here, is there? And you might notice that the resolution's a little bit weird. Yes, the game has black bars. It was designed for 4x3 for some reason. I don't know why, but it's a little annoying. I can understand the arcade aesthetic. You can see the clear sepia color scheme going on here. Plus the rather, I wouldn't even call that 8-bit. It's a weird mix. Like, the game looks 8-bit, but the characters kind of look 16-bit in terms of their fidelity. But you can't change the color palette, at least originally. I assume these are unlockable because color palette is locked to original and I can't find a way to change it. I tried left and right. I tried hitting enter and then changing it. That doesn't do anything either. I tried 0/X. I don't even know what that means or why it's there. It may mean that this is color palette 0 out of X and we don't know how many that is yet, but there you go. Full screen on or off. You can change the volume of the sound effects and the music. There's no music in the menus, which is a little bit weird. And then you can customize controls as well. And that is about it. That's what the game offers in terms of its options menu. This is very much a retro-styled dogfighting game, so you can understand the lack of graphics options. Although, I would like to see two things. One, the game with a 60 FPS option. Again, retro-styled game, you can kind of get away with it. Would be nice to have it nonetheless, though. It's no Need for Speed Rivals, where you basically need 60 FPS for the game to play properly. No, you can definitely get away with it with a game that looks and handles like this, but still. Nothing wrong with 60 frames per second under any circumstances, even in retro-styled dogfighting games. So, welcome to Luftrausers. Get into my Luftrausers, and you will experience some amazing dogfighting. And I do mean amazing, because the main gimmick of the game is the fact that you can stall your plane. Your game as well, but your plane specifically, has a jet booster of sorts, and it allows you to maneuver like this. However, when you cut your engines, you stop flying and you maneuver faster, meaning you can do all sorts of things like this. You can maneuver around the projectiles and the planes and get some absolutely fantastic shots off. And it's really cool because you can start hitting your booster incredibly fast, start to build up a bunch of speed, and then just cut the booster entirely and plummet to the earth, all the while firing. Indeed, my guns on this plane are so ridiculous that they're actually giving me a slight amount of lift. Indeed. You got the World War II A-10 Warthog going on here. It's a little crazy. So, what is the point of the game? Kill as much stuff as possible before you die. Complete objectives which will allow you to level up, progress, and unlock different parts for plane customization. This is not the only plane. Not by any stretch of the imagination. You can make your plane out of several parts. In fact, there are 125 feasible combinations available alongside a randomized mode. That's a battleship, and that probably wasn't a good idea. But thankfully, I equipped my plane with a nuclear bomb, which allowed me to detonate on impact. And in fact, that was what I needed to do, because in order to unlock my next objective, I need to kill 5 battleships in total. And I've killed 4, and killing battleships without the nuke, a little bit difficult. Let me show you the hangar. Or not. No, there we go. Let me show you the hangar. So this is where the customization happens. You can select from 3 different part sets. This is the chassis. No, it's not. It's the weapon. This is the weapon. Machine gun, laser, shotgun, missiles, and a bunch of other stuff that can be unlocked. So let's switch over the laser for the time being. And this is the chassis. The jouster melee body actually takes no damage. This is the nuke body, which I'm kind of going to need to unlock this stuff. And you'll notice it actually changes the name of the plane, which I find particularly amusing, depending on the combination of stuff that you've picked. So we'll go with the nuke body again. And you could also pick an engine. This is a gun engine. It shoots bullets. and propels you with them, but it doesn't give you very high speed. This is Super Boost. This allows you to form the Batman plane. So let's go with this. This allows me to fly very, very fast indeed, but my turning speed while I do it is not particularly high, but I can get up some ludicrous speed. I also picked the nuclear body, so crashing into a battleship is probably the way to go. This is the laser. Not ideal, in my opinion, with this particular body. You might want to pick a different weapon if you're going to have a really bad turning circle while you boost. But it gives a bunch of different playstyle options, as well as a decent amount of variety and a reason to keep playing it. Because you will encounter, for the most part, the same kind of setup. Although the longer you stay alive, the more stuff you're going to encounter. In order to unlock the next set of missions, actually you need to kill a blimp boss, which will appear a few minutes into this level, assuming I live long enough for that to happen. Try to work on the battleship there. You can bounce off the ocean floor, it will do some damage, but you can't actually die by just hitting the ocean. And I think I picked off a battleship. Very nice, very nice. So I did manage to unlock some skulls. The more skulls you get, the more levels you get, the more parts you get. Simple as that. I don't think I'm going to take the booster one anymore. We'll put the Gungeon on it. And we will use missiles. Here we go. Let's give that a shot. So this is the Devastator plane, as you can see. They changed the name of the plane depending on the combination. So one assumes there's actually 125 planes in the game. Which is pretty cool. And this is basically how the game goes. Yeah, it's quite simple. Easy to get into. It has a fire button, it's got a thrust button, and it's got left and right. And that is about it. Unsurprisingly enough, regardless of its simplicity, it plays really, really well. Why does it play well? I'm not going to give you a generic comment like, oh, it feels great. Why? Why does the dogfighting feel great? Here's why the dogfighting feels great. It's because of the stalling mechanic. Yeah? In a normal arcade 2D flight game, chances are you're going to go forward, you can maybe increase your speed, decrease your speed, and you're going to be flying at a constant speed all the time. Which is fine, but in this game, lol, what you have is the ability to stall, and that will give you more maneuverability, and it will allow you to pull off some incredible maneuvers. It also gives you this interesting kind of feeling of weightlessness as you hit the apex of your thrust and then start to slowly fall downwards. And that is a rather unique flight mechanic that allows you to pull off all sorts of really cool maneuvers. And it gives you that feel of being an ace dogfighter, which is quite difficult to pull off with such a limited control set, one would think, but surprisingly enough, it's the buttons you're not pressing that give you the really cool experience. It's the fact that you're not pressing that thrust button, and you're leaving your fate up to gravity and the ability to maneuver around and pressing thrust at just the right time. And it loves to give you those little effects as well that demonstrate that you're doing that, like the water kicking up beneath your thrusters and cool stuff like that. Add to that the variety of parts that you have available, as well as weapon variety and general enemy variety, including various kinds of planes, various kinds of boats, and the blimp boss, and one assumes more stuff beyond that if you can actually beat the blimp, which is extremely difficult, I might add. And you've got a arcade game with extremely high replayability that happens to have really, really fun, if simple, mechanics. Nuke the battleship once again. There we go. However, I do have a couple of gripes with it, certainly. The first gripe, of course, is that it runs at 30 FPS, and it's more difficult to notice in a game that moves this way. Yeah? If it was a fully 3D game, being 30 frames per second, very noticeable. If it's a fighting game, being 30 frames per second, again, very noticeable. Yeah, not so much. Not so much, honestly. If we go back to the spread, I think this is my favorite configuration. The regular engine with the nuke and the spread, which is called the boom plane. There we go. Almost like a hovercraft. There we go. So those are problematic. There's also this weird slowdown, which I assume is deliberate because the frame rate doesn't drop when it happens. So I have a feeling it was designed to replicate the arcade games of old, when more often than not you took a hit, there'd be a slight bit of slowdown because the game was kind of catching up to it. The game doesn't slow down when there's a lot on the screen. There's no problem about that. But when you get hit, there's a slight bit of slowdown. When you get hit multiple times, it's very noticeable. In fact, if you play the Jouster plane with the melee body, you'll notice it a lot. Actually, never mind, not that. I'm talking out my ass. You won't notice it because you're not taking any damage. You will notice it with this one because you get increased impact damage. So you can actually kind of bounce along the sea, kind of like this. And you can, strangely enough, kind of do some damage this way And it kind of works. And you see the slowdown right there, as it appears like the frame rate is dropping and the game's chugging, but it's actually not. So, again, I assume that's a deliberate choice, but I just don't quite see the point. It happens when you die as well, or when your nuke goes off. It's just... I assume there is a reason for it. Maybe it's just designed to make it obvious to the player that they've been hit. The game doesn't have a health bar, but it... Oh, did I accidentally kill the blimp? What? No. I must have accidentally killed the blimp with the nuke. And I also just got the random option, I think. Which is in itself quite nice. Unlock the cannon. Okay. Is that a random option? Where is it? It said it unlocked something. Can't see it anywhere, though. Huh. Strange. A little bit weird. Ah! So it just ran... Okay, you have to unlock it separately for each one. I get it. Okay. Fair enough. It's a little strange. You'd think you'd be able to randomize everything, but I guess you want to get the random option when you've unlocked most of the parts for one category. Well, that would make sense. There we go. Yeah, there is a lack of health bar. It's sort of dealt with by the fact that you have this circle, this kind of aura around your plane, like that, you see? And the closer it gets to your plane, the more damage you've taken. And you regenerate your health when you stop firing, by the way, so... Ramming is a perfectly legitimate tactic in many scenarios. In fact, there's an entire plane based around it. But I would have preferred to see a more traditional health bar, I think. Would have been slightly less irritating. I can understand the stylization, but it's a little unnecessary. If you're going to make a more traditional arcade game, then why not have a health bar, you know? You don't need to have the sepia equivalent of bloody screen so real, right? Wow, the cannon's quite a fun weapon. I'll give him credit for that one. So yeah, I mean, that's Luftrausers in a nutshell. It's got ranking comparisons, which is always nice to see. So you can compare your ranking to your friends and people around you and things like that, which I will do after this video, because I'm pretty sure my ranking is higher than Northern Lion, because of course he is a scumbag, as you're well aware. And it's got a hell of a lot of replayability. So I suppose the quibbling point would probably be the price for a lot of people. It's $10. On the launch sale, it's $9. I personally think that's reasonable. Some people won't. The game was originally released as a Flash title, but it was released without all of the weapon customization. So basically, you can only use the one plane, which is nowhere near as fun as being able to unlock all sorts of different combinations, because it's the combinations that give you that real replayability there. Apparently, I managed to kill the blimp. I don't know how the hell that happened, but there you go. What's my rank? Is it better than Northern Lions? Of course it is. It's significantly higher. Although I've got to catch up with Gimbal. My direct opponents, as you can see down the bottom there, and Best Global. Lumifox, I'm pretty sure he's a dev, actually. Well, there you go. Yeah, it's got a lot of replayability. Some people might quibble about the price, in which case wait for a sale, and then the problem is solved. Or wait for a bundle, which it will no doubt be in at some point. Personally, I think for $10, it's absolutely worth it. Certainly, it looks like a very old game, but the aesthetic choice is deliberate, and the mechanics are anything but. It just feels so good to fly in this game, because of the stall mechanic and how many excellent and awesome and unusual maneuvers it allows you to pull off. And every time you pick a different set of parts, it almost feels like a different game because you've got to play differently, particularly the melee plane. You really end up playing very differently. So I can appreciate that. They've managed to pack a lot of variety into a seemingly very simplistic package that only has, well, 3 buttons. Although, again, the most important button that you have is the one that you don't press. That being releasing the thrust button. Yeah, it's great. It's actually really, really fun. Hope to keep playing it a lot more. Unlocking everything and seeing what the game brings. Some people might complain about a lack of modes, and maybe they want a campaign mode or anything like that, but personally, I couldn't really give a toss. I like the way it handles, I like the way it plays out, I like the fact that each session is a standalone thing. And there's a lot of satisfaction to be had from running each session, and each session could also play out differently. Especially if you have different weapon combinations. And this cannon is an absolute beast. Wow. Such firepower. There we go. I should also point out one last thing. The music is damn great. Listen to this. Or don't. Sorry. Apparently, messing with the rouser is a bad idea. Let's try it one more time. Okay, now you can listen to the music. Pretty good, right? Yeah. Luftrausers, ladies and gentlemen. Currently available on Steam for $10 or your regional equivalent. A damn fun 2D retro-inspired dogfighter from the folks that brought you various other games that were stolen by Chinese companies. Strangely enough, Luftrausers was as well. Yeah. iOS. Great platform, right, guys? Go to hell. I'll see you next time.